You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Anything can happen Friday. The art and cultural side of Southeast Asia. Hello and welcome back to Ardent ASEAN. You're with Gowri here today on a Friday morning, and we are on our Anything Can Happen Friday segment. And today we have a very interesting topic where we will be discussing vape versus cigarette. And is vaping really better, and does it actually work to help people quit smoking? And with me in the studio, I have two people to help me with the discussion. And the first one is Afiq. Let's say hello. Hi. Thank you for coming.
No problem.
And of course, we also have Imran representing Vape Empire.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Thank you for joining me today to help me discuss about vape and cigarettes. So, I'm guessing, I think I know, Afiq, you said you used to be a smoker and
yes,
later you switched to vape. Yeah. Maybe you can walk us through that process a little bit. How did it all happen?
Well, it actually kind of happened randomly.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a mall, and then I saw this stall, and they were selling, the, they call it electronic cigarette.
Right, at that time,
yeah,
when it first started out.
And it looked like a cigarette, but it was electronic. I was curious,
Mm-hmm.
I was curious, so I went there a few times, and then finally I bought it, and that was around 2009.
Okay.
I started using it. So I started using it, doing some research and whatnot, and then a few months after that, the thing broke.
Okay. But that time it looked like a pen. That was it.
No, it actually looked like a cigarette.
Oh,
it looked like a
okay.
cigarette.
Yeah, those are the first generation.
Yeah, the first
I
generation.
see. Okay.
So the idea was to have the feel, to have the look
Right.
of cigarette, but it's not a cigarette. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it started out from there, but when the thing broke, I kind of stopped because I'm not gonna spend $200 again.
It costed $100.
Yeah, it costed I think around almost
around 200,
around 200
Wow.
plus.
Okay.
200 plus. So after that, back in 2012 at the end, it started to came back.
Right.
And that's when the pen started to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So when the pen came out, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give this another try.
Okay.
And then it started from there.
All right.
Basically.
Okay. What about yourself?
Myself, basically, I started. Actually, it's a few tries lah. Basically, I think the first time I saw someone vaping was back in 2007 or 8 in Malaysia. At that point of time, the device looks, crazy unfriendly, because it's big and all.
Right.
Because the one that Shafiq, right?
Afiq.
Afiq used was somewhat is the new models already. Prior to that, it's something. It's like a mug.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like you are. It looks like a mug lah, basically.
Right.
So at that point of time, when I looked at it, I just tried a few puffs, never get hooked on it because I never intend to quit smoking also at that point of time.
Okay.
So it happened, when I, in 2010 or 11, if I'm not mistaken, I'm sorry, I'm a bit rusty.
That's okay.
So I basically felt that I had to quit smoking.
Okay.
Because I have my chest pains, my cough, any smokers would go through.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I go to the doctor. Doctors gave me nicotine patches.
Right.
Anything under the roof to help me quit smoking.
Right.
And unfortunately, it didn't happen lah. So I went online, did some research, and I came across, like Afiq, the cigarette
Cigarette
look alike.
thing.
Okay.
At that point of time, it was called Smoker Haven or something like that. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, so I read a lot about it, because I'm not the kind of person who just jump into things,
Okay,
So I read a lot about it, so it really interests me, and I just wanted to try it out.
Right.
And I managed to, after a week or two, I managed to totally quit smoking.
Just after a week or two?
Yeah, just after a week or two.
Wow, okay.
It is something that, I never anticipated. I just tried it out and just went along with it until today.
All right. Yeah. And it seems like you guys mentioned about that same time period, like around 2009, 2010. So was that about the time that the e-cigarettes were introduced to Malaysia, or how did it happen?
I think e-cigarettes was introduced to the world 2004, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, slowly it went through the Malaysian market through online.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so I think why 2010 and above was a good time for vaping was because the devices were more.
Okay.
I mean,
It was
They
more
evolved
user-friendly.
yeah, user friendly, more
Okay.
presentable. It works better, you know, for beginners
Yeah.
and so forth lah.
Okay.
So that's how it broke out here.
Basically, it didn't break after 2 months. So
Yeah, it took a long time
Yeah,
Right.
for
yeah.
it to.
I think my first device from 2012,
Yeah.
it still works.
Until today.
Yeah, it still works,
Wow.
but you know, I kind of have to change
Okay.
it probably overnight.
So, maybe the deal with vaping, right? Let's talk about how is it different from smoking, since both of you have been former smokers before. How is it different in terms of the feel of it, the fact that it's electronic, and does it feel different? But you said you managed to quit smoking within just
Yeah.
2 weeks. So, is it actually it helps you to?
It obviously helps.
Mhm.
You know, if not, it wouldn't be so famous
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
I mean, people smoke cigarettes because of nicotine.
Okay.
They don't smoke cigarettes because they get hooked. I got hooked because of the nicotine.
Yeah.
Right? So basically, all we wanted was just the nicotine.
Right.
So from my perspective, at that point of time, you know, e-cigarettes was just like a tool. It's like a nicotine. It's a different way of absorbing nicotine into my body without the tar, you know, all these combustion
Okay.
chemicals
Right.
and everything. So I mean, that's the difference. But the feel of it, you know, the only similarity that it has is something's coming out from your mouth.
Yeah.
But the difference is it's a combustion smoke, and
Right.
one is just vapor. So I mean, that's how it helped, because it could it copies
Right. The
you know,
effect.
Yeah.
the habit of smoking.
Yeah, because sometimes you know, when you're used to smoking, you know, you used to puffing. So vaping is kind of one of the ways, because I've tried nicotine, not patches, the pills.
Oh, the pills.
Oh.
Nicotine. They got
Yeah,
it.
nicotine. So I tried that. You know, I tried that. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend and said, you know what, I want to stop smoking.
Yeah.
My device is not working anymore,
Yeah.
so let me try this. And it was different.
Right.
It was different. You know, I probably had a nicotine rush after that, but then I still feel like, you know, how to say, tak puas lah.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
You
Like
don't
something
get
is still
the
missing.
process.
Yeah, you don't
You
get the
know?
process. Because
Okay.
it's basically the habit of, you know, puffing. You
Yeah,
know?
true,
So
true.
when you have a vapor, you know, you still get to puff.
Right.
So, you know, and then
So
after
you can
that,
sort of trick
psychologically,
your body
Yeah.
that you're
You
kind of
kinda
doing the
trick your
same
body.
thing.
Yep.
But I'm just curious if it's mostly the addiction towards nicotine. Why doesn't the nicotine patch work on most people?
Oh well, because it doesn't give me the satisfaction of absorbing nicotine
So
into
you're
my body.
same
you know?
like Afiq.
Yeah, it's same. I mean,
There's no.
if you ask
yeah.
any smokers out there,
Yeah.
you know, smoking has become it has become a process, right?
Right.
So you know, any nicotine intake without simulating the process of smoking a cigarette will not work.
Okay.
You know, which has been proven for decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, that's my point of view, lah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the habit. The habit of
The process.
Right.
It's the process.
So it helps that with the vape, it's not just something that you know, it's like a pill that you pop,
Nope.
or it's like a patch. You actually go through the same process,
Yeah.
like you mentioned.
Yep.
So that helps to
To substitute.
and also your body gets used to that.
Yep.
And apart from that, I think when it comes to vaping, it has less chemicals as well that's involved.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at cigarettes, there are probably thousands of different chemicals. And what about vape? What are the things that that you find or that you get from inhaling?
Okay, basically, in the liquid, you know, it consists of 4 main ingredients.
Okay.
Which is propylene glycol. Let me go through all the
Sure.
chemicals.
Yeah.
Okay, propylene glycol is it creates aerosol. You know, people who got asthma, they have that inhalers, right? They then you know, you see that aerosol come out. That's propylene glycol. Okay, you know, every time you walk into an hospital, you get this smell, right? Anywhere you go, so it's propylene glycol.
Okay.
That's propylene glycol. Okay, so then they mix it with vegetable glycerin. Vegetable glycerin is, people use it, usually it's a vegetable oil for cakes. All these are FDA approved ingredients. You can get it at a bakery shop, online, or things like that. So the third would be flavorings. Flavorings, basically, it's a mix of extract flavor with propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin. Then they add up the nicotine. So that's the 4 main ingredients, basically. But they might add some sweeteners, you know, like stevia, all these things to make it a bit cooler. There are a bit another 2 more ingredients. So to me, a good liquid nowadays that you get, all this premium liquid, they will have about 6 to 5 substance in them. So basically, that's about it. And all these flavors, all these mixtures is FDA approved. Any Tom, Dick and Harry can just go online and research about the ingredients.
What about Afiq? Do you want to add anything to that on the
taste
of it?
He said everything.
I mean, it's a simple. Because it's a simple thing.
To me, it's like, you know, it's clear what is in e-liquids and it's clear what's in cigarettes. So to me, I mean, people nowadays would say like, macam, you know, oi, this is dangerous, you know, because it has only nicotine. And I was like, okay, let's do the calculation. I only have this in it,
right?
You know, you have this in it.
Okay.
You know? So make your own calculations, you know.
Right.
I mean, if you want to say, I'm not saying that it's 100% safe, but
it's definitely better than
the risk is smaller, you know, it's in a smaller scope.
Okay. But isn't vape more expensive than cigarettes? Do you think that could be a discouraging factor for people?
No. Basically, what makes people think cigarettes is expensive is because of the starter kits. You know, to get into vaping, you will need, I think, about good 200 ringgit at the minimum to get a starter kit. Okay, I mean 200 once you purchase. Then after that, it's all about maintaining.
Right.
So maintaining will cost you about $100, 100 ringgit, 100 to 150
a month.
A month.
A month. Okay.
Yeah. So you know, if you add up in total how much you spend with cigarettes, definitely it is much more cheaper.
Right.
But you know, it comes again to consumers. You know, some people 2,000 is cheap. Some
That's
people 200 is expensive.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the consumers lah. But if you want to compare which one is cheaper, of course vaping is cheaper lah.
So I guess it's more of like a long-term thinking.
Exactly.
Like instead of spending 200 ringgit now, if you buy cigarettes every month, in the end it's going to cost more.
But to be frank with you, price was never an issue because most people do it is because of family, you know, family encouragement, you know, to quit smoking. Same goes to me as well. So, I mean, it all depends on how you spend your money lah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Afiq, you have helped a lot of people switch to vaping as well.
Okay.
And tell us, well, at least that's what I heard. So, tell us a little bit about that. How do you usually encourage people to get into it, and what are the most common questions that you hear from people who are skeptical?
Okay, well, in 2009, when I first got my pen, this is a little bit flashback. I posted it up on Facebook. You know, because this one is recently, I looked back, and I had 3 friends there who were like asking me, WTF, what is that?
Of
you know,
course.
and then like one is like saying, hey, this is worse than cigarette because now you can do it anywhere, you know. And guess what? Now they are the ones crazy about it. One is a shop owner. One is crazy about making crazy setups. One is like we call it cloud chaser. You know, these 3 were they were the ones that commented on it. So what I did was I just basically vape. I basically vape. When anyone asks me questions, I give them honest answers.
Right.
I won't say that, hey, no, cigarette is bad. This is way better. No,
Right.
I'll tell them, this is a better alternative. It might be more expensive. To start to buy, but I'll give them the benefits. I'll show them the benefits. Whether they want to believe me or not, then it's up to them.
Right.
But I'll just say my area of friends
sure.
in USD4, where I met Pavan. Most of them now are vaping.
Okay.
Most of them now are vaping, and back when I was vaping, everyone was saying like, this is worse, this is this. They tried mine,
Right.
Some will actually try and then say, you know what, dude, I can't vape, man.
You're smoking batteries.
You're smoking batteries. You're inhaling the batteries. What you call that? The liquids of the battery.
Yeah.
The acid. The acid of the batteries. I get all of this, but I keep on vaping. I keep on vaping in front of them, with them. After a while, they got hooked. I mean, not to say they got hooked, but they got interested.
Okay.
They got interested. So, whatever I know, whatever knowledge I know, I'll just
share
I'll share it with them.
Okay.
And then I'll let them research themselves if it's better from smoking or not.
Okay. But how long exactly did it take for them to get there? Because at first they were sort of ostracizing you, bullying you,
yeah.
whatever it is. How long did it take for them to accept you back?
I think it started last year, middle of last year. I think middle of last year. Somehow, I think starting from last year, the vaping scene starts to bloom.
Suddenly
it just blossoms out of nowhere. It started, every shop in every corner, shops are starting to open publicly. So when they saw that, at first it was just me, and then another friend, and then they saw another customer doing it. They got interested. Then like, boom, everyone's vaping now.
Yeah.
So
I guess
it kind of took me, for my friends, it kind of took them about a year or two.
Oh, okay.
Depends,
It's quite
some just
some
started
time.
this year, some actually started last year, but it was a lonely time for me during around 2012, 2013.
At that point of time, not much
Yeah.
people were vaping also. At that
Okay.
point of time, I was working in the bank as well.
Oh.
At that point of time, I remembered when I first started, I was the only one with the electronic cigarettes, and people made a lot of fun.
Right, I'm sure.
Out of me vaping, saying, come on lah bro, for a fact, cigarettes, all this.
Like, be a man, smoke the real thing.
So, and the funny thing today, the last time I was with them, now I can count how many people who are smoking. And the rest are vaping, and to me, they could say whatever they want to say, but the satisfaction of not smoking
is different.
It's a phenomenal thing for smokers.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that itself drove the whole market.
Yeah.
I quit smoking. People look at me, hey, what made you quit smoking? I told him this. Okay, you go do your studies. They studied. Then it's a chain reaction, just like how Afiq said. So that's how it grew in the community.
Okay. So we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we will continue our discussion about vaping.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
Anything can happen Friday. The art and cultural side of Southeast Asia. Hello and welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You're still with Gowri here on our Anything Can Happen Friday, and today we are discussing about vape and how is it better than cigarettes. And of course, with me here is still Afiq and Imran, who will be helping me with the discussion.
Yes,
So I want to talk more about the kits for this part of the discussion, because earlier we talked about the starter kit, and maybe you guys can explain a bit more about how many types of kits there are and how is one different or better than the other.
When you talk about starter kits, obviously it's going to be relatively cheap. It might not be the best, but it works. I think the starter kit right now, I mean, a decent starter kit is the sub box, right?
Yep.
The sub box mini. It has a very good tank, which I personally use too, but I buy it separate.
Okay.
You know? And the device, which we call mod, is well, to be honest, it's decent. You know, it's decent. It
presentable. You know,
it's
small.
presentable. And for I think nearly around
200 to 300.
to 300. That's a good.
So that's a
starting
usual
point.
starting price.
Yeah, because with that kit you actually you get the mod, you get the tank, you get the spare parts. You know, it's everything in one.
Okay.
All you need to buy is a
Just
battery, and liquid. You know?
that's
Right.
it.
Because liquid is kind of subjective to everyone.
Yeah.
So
As in the flavor.
Yeah, the flavor.
Okay.
Your preference,
Let's break it down.
preference. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then after that you have you know, individual devices.
Okay.
Which can range from, I don't know, probably around
300
bucks
Right.
to 1,000.
to
Right.
thousands. You know, depending on what you're looking at.
Okay. So it could go up to 4,000, 5,000.
Even
The
more.
most
Even more.
I known and witnessed
Yeah.
someone pay is 6,000.
6,000.
6,000
Wow.
for something that is
Yep.
not even built yet.
Okay.
Yeah, those are all the customs lah. You know, the
Okay.
rare models. The models
Right.
are those. I mean, in Malaysia, you know, I'm very proud to say that our models are one of the best in the world. Okay, they are mods. I mean, you have people all over the world waiting to you know, to be on that list. You know, for an example, like Zero Mods.
Yeah.
Jamit.
Yes.
You know, so these guys to me are legendary lah. You know,
Yeah.
so they open at least maybe 50, 100.
Okay.
You know, so it becomes something so rare. You know, that people are, you know, willing to buy it lah. Usually
Right.
these are hobbyists, you know, collectors.
Yeah.
You know, who would go for these things.
Right.
So it starts from the cheapest, and there are still no limits to it yet lah.
Okay. And are there different voltages as well for the starter kits compared to the other advanced one? Is that what you call
I
it?
mean,
or-
voltage, it all depends on preference again.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
some people sub ohm. Sub ohm means, you know, your coil. You know, your coil is a part where you heat up the coil.
Right.
This coil will absorb the liquid, right?
Okay.
So the how much power you put into the coil will determine how fast the vapor evaporates,
Okay.
the taste, the heat. So it is all preference, you know. It doesn't mean that the higher voltage you use, you know, you get better taste. No,
Right,
it
okay.
all depends on the user lah.
It all
Okay.
depends on the user. Some people, they want the power. You know, they see a device comes out,
Yep.
150 watts.
Yeah.
You know,
Those are mostly cloud chasers lah. You know, people who's, you know, like the Tamiya box.
yeah.
They sit
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Those
They
are
sit
these
down,
kind
they-
of groups
they
of
do
people lah.
Crazy builds on their coils. You know,
okay.
but some people also, you know, they just see 150 watts. This must be better. You know, but in truth, it's how you do your coils.
Okay.
You know, I can use my mod. My mod is 40 watts limit. I can make it work like 150 watts
Oh,
if
okay.
I do my coils correctly. You know,
Right.
it all depends
Because it
on
has a
preference.
resistance to it.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that it's too technical already.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got to vape to understand
Right.
ohms.
I think
you
so.
know.
Or you learn it in physics sometimes.
Yeah.
But that means that you really have to know your device as well.
Yep.
When you're
Yes, of
vaping,
course.
it's not just as simple as, you know,
Yeah,
getting the
mean,
flavor. And,
It's not hard to learn about it,
Mm.
you know. But if you're really into it, you know, you will first get to the basics. You know, you just have to do your coils.
right.
You know what wire you want to use.
Yeah.
And your resistance wise, you know, to me, you know, when my friends start vaping, you know, I would recommend them. Okay, you know what? You use this. You use this and then, but sometimes they will go to other places.
Yeah.
You know, let's say to another shop, or they saw another friend and it's like, hey, I'm using this.
Right.
You know, when he tests the guy's one, and it's like, okay, this is so good. Okay, I want the same. You know,
okay.
but
it goes
depends,
for recommendation.
You know? It goes recommendation, but then when they get it, it's not the same.
Right.
You know, it doesn't work the same. So it kind of, it's the user. It's basically the user. You know, if you really into it, you try and error your coils and.
But yeah, you guys were saying earlier as well that it's not necessary for a beginner to start with a starter kit.
Yeah, it's not
if they
necessary.
can go with whatever that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, they can go. You know, I mean, I have a friend who just started. He actually, I would not say that my device is high end, but it's in the mid range below 1,000 device. So you know, I mean, I would say it's kind of expensive for me. It's kind of expensive. You know, it's powerful. My friend bought it off me.
Yeah.
And then I was recommending him a starter kit, you know, the Subbox Mini, or something in that range. And he said, you know what? No, I want the best. I want the best.
Okay.
So okay, he bought it off me, and then he keeps on coming back to me and say, why don't I get the same flavor as you? You know, why don't I get the same satisfaction when you are using it? You know, so, you know, you gotta learn. You know, you gotta make your way to building your calls like me. I mean, I'm not the best. But
it's like two photographers taking pictures on the same camera. You know, it has a different effect. It's a simple terminology, I would say.
So next time you just tell him because you are not Afiq.
I just say, you know, me.
So I want to also talk about shisha, if I may, because a lot of people who are probably starting out tend to compare vaping to shisha because of the flavoring and all. So how do you answer to that kind of questions?
How?
I think it is very wrong to say Coke is the same with Milo, right?
Okay.
So it's the same thing. Shisha and vaping. You see, I want to make this point very clear.
Yeah, please.
The only similarities vaping, shisha and cigarette is something which looks like a smoke it's coming out from your mouth. That's it.
Really? What about the flavors?
Besides that, there's no similarities. I mean, the flavors are all heated up.
Right.
Like shisha, it is all combustion. You know, you anything that combusts, you know, has deadly particles. You know, that's where you get the carbon monoxide. You know, all these things. But vaping is just vapor. You know, it's just heating element to it. There is no combustion. So it's a cleaner way of smoking lah, I would say. You know, so that's a huge difference. It's like comparing again cameras. It's like comparing an analog camera with a digital one. So it's a two totally different thing. And I think to find similarities in it, I'm gonna tell the whole world now, only one similarity. Something is coming out of your mouth.
So that's the simplest way to put it. So it's two very, very different
very,
things.
very different.
Even compare.
I think I mean, in my point of view, probably the other thing is you know, the flavors, because yes, cigarettes are not flavored. You know, they are tobacco, but like shisha and vapor, they have flavors. You know, probably that's why people would compare them side by side. You know, like, okay, I have an apple shisha, and now I have an apple vapor. You know, I have a flavor. You know, probably that's what they are comparing to. You know, but in reality is like
Imran.
I mean, it's different. I mean, I smoke shisha too. You know, vaping apple on an electronic cigarettes and smoking shisha with an apple flavor.
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
If you don't, it is totally different.
It's probably just the, I mean, a layman's term. It's like, you know,
okay, just
vaping, you're vaping apple, you're vaping shisha. What's the difference?
It's a huge difference.
Well, you have to try it.
Yeah.
To know the difference. And let's talk about a bit more of misconceptions. I think there's also been a lot of news recently saying that vaping is actually more harmful than cigarettes. But of course, we talked about that a bit earlier as well when you compared the chemicals and all. But yeah, why are these news surfacing and everyone's making such a big deal out of it?
I mean, to refute this,
yes,
right? I think in 2014, February to be exact, the European Parliamentary has passed a bill to regulate e-cigarettes in 2016. So what does that tell you? It tells you that there are countries out there who has done the study.
Right.
The fact sheets are out. It is readily made available online, right? So I mean, we are now a generation where we don't depend on statements. You know, you can see in the media, oh, electronic cigarettes dangerous, right? Back then, people would just say electronic cigarettes is dangerous, right? But today, people want facts, right? You know, that's why we are the generation where we'll be reading every hour, every minute. You know, you read Facebook every day, right? So it's a habit, you know, for us to, you know, hunger for the knowledge. So I mean, it is all available online. You know, every single claim that says electronic cigarettes is harmful has already been debunked. You know, and it's all made online. Example, there's this study that came out saying that it has formaldehyde or something like that, right? I mean, it's a really dangerous substance. But you know, guess what? They were testing it the wrong way. You know, they were burning coils at a very high voltage without the e-juice in it. You know, vapors, we call it dry heat. You know, dry heat is something that everybody would want to avoid.
Of course.
It is not vapable. So how can you take a test result which no vapors are vaping at and put it out publicly? You know, so I mean, I don't need to tell you how safe vaping is. Okay, but what I need to tell the public is, go and read up. It is all readily made available online. I mean, don't go too far. You can just Wikipedia vaping today, and everything will be out. All the test results, all these countries who are regulating it based on what they're regulating. So it's all there, lah. You know.
What about Afiq? Do you get people saying that to you as well, or?
Oh yeah. Even my family.
Oh, okay.
You know, even I try to explain to them, you know, but sometimes, you know, general public, you know, sometimes they just don't want to listen, or they are too hooked with, you know, media,
right? Or like very quick to believe whatever they read or come across.
But when I post something like, okay, here are the facts about vaping, they'll be like, nah, you're wrong. This is the right one. It's like, okay. You know.
So they made up their mind really.
Yeah, they basically made up their mind and said, hey, no, this is harmful. And then one of the things of harmful is I think user errors.
Okay.
User errors.
Maybe you can explain more about that.
Okay, one of the things that last time people were scared to vape is because they hear about vaping devices blowing up. Okay, we have to understand that it's electronic, you know. Even now we had a story, an iPhone blew up,
right?
You know, because it's electronic.
But blowing up as in it's going to spoil or like literally just explode in your face?
Explode.
Okay.
But to me that is you know, the
one in a million lah. But to be honest with you, I've never come across any. I mean, I do see in Facebook all these things, but I think only once in my vaping life.
Oh, I actually experienced it the other day. Well, I did not experience it. I was at my friend's vape shop. It was upstairs, and then there's another actually at the mama down there. There was a booth, vaping booth there too. So apparently there's a customer who suddenly out of nowhere his bag exploded.
His bag? Oh, okay.
Yeah, his bag. He was carrying a satchel kind of thing. So that exploded, and it turns out it was his battery. But that is his fault because, you know, he's putting a bare battery in his bag with coins and car keys and whatnot. So that's metal to metal. That is,
basically what blows up is the batteries lah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some batteries they don't change for about a year. The batteries, there's the batteries wrap all already, peeled off. So it's
So there are actually some precautions
Yes,
that you
of
have to
course.
take as well.
Of course,
Maybe.
when it comes to electronic stuff,
you got to know what you're doing lah.
even my car battery blew up a few times.
Right.
That's a car.
Yeah.
That's even more dangerous.
Yeah.
You know?
But we're still driving cars.
Yeah, but we're still driving cars, and we need to drive cars.
Yeah.
So when it comes to electronic stuff, when my friends ask me like, hey, I heard in the news again, like, hey, this guy is his thing blew up and he died inside. Okay, do your research. Why did it blow up? He was using it the wrong way. He was handling it wrong.
Right.
So obviously, but right now, I think vaping has become more safe in that sense because
They got
a lot
chips.
a lot of mods now uses an intelligent chip, and the chip itself has a
Safety precautions lah.
Okay.
safety
Right.
precautions. So it's much safer now.
Yep.
But having said that, maybe you guys want to just give a few precautions that people should take when carrying.
Okay, the only precautions that I think is relevant, for your safety is the batteries. Always check your batteries. I change batteries once, sometimes twice a month.
Okay.
So
that is the recommended.
Yeah, I mean not the recommended time. Because I always check my batteries physically.
Right.
If there is any peeled pieces, the
Right.
battery has a wrap.
it does.
It's been wrapped for a reason, right? So when the wrap is worn off or it peeled off, then you still use it again.
Right.
It might
trigger
become
something
a
else,
problem lah.
Basically, is the battery.
Yeah, it's just
So
the
that's
batteries.
about it.
Yeah,
So as
that's
long as
about
you
it.
take care of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
then
then,
you're all
the
good.
safety of the battery, as in you have to know.
You have to use the right battery.
Yeah, you have to use.
It
the
has
right
to be a
battery.
high drain batteries, okay?
Okay.
Not some battery you pick up in Tesco or something like
Yeah.
that, then you are bound.
Sometimes
trouble
that's
lah.
the problem.
Okay,
That's a problem because sometimes like people like macam, I nak murah. I want it very cheap.
Itu
very
nama
cheap.
dia pandai-pandai.
I mean, we're not trying to rob anyone. When we sell, like Vape Empire,
Yeah.
they sell good quality batteries. I've bought batteries from them.
Thank you, brother.
It's
Did he pay you just now?
no. I'm being truthful because to me, it's better to spend a little bit more, and I know I'm safe.
Okay.
I mean, when I went to their one of their branches, also, I asked them,
Yeah.
what is this battery capable of? What is this battery capable of?
Okay. So basically, it's good to ask a lot of questions as
Yes,
well, so
of
you
course.
know absolutely how it works.
Exactly.
So we're actually almost at the end of our discussion. So before we wrap things up, I just want to ask you, maybe Imran as well, how is the vaping scene or industry like in KL at the moment?
At the moment, I would say, I'm very proud to see where we are today from where we came from. Okay, I just want to go through a brief history about vaping in Malaysia through my perspective. Sure. When I started vaping, to vape, it's like you need to find a sifu. Yeah, I'm no joke, no joke. Okay. So that point of time, you will have this, abang-abang, 30s, 40s with their blue torch. At that point of time, the coiling all was so backdated. It's something that took hours for you to prepare, and only certain people with a certain skill could do this. So last time it's like nak cari sifu lah. Sit down with them, lepak with them. See them do your call, then only you get to vape. It's a small closed community.
Okay.
So from there, it grew and it grew. Slowly you see 1-2 shops opening up. Then today, in Subang itself, it's I think about 50-60 vape shops.
Okay.
You don't need to go far. You just go into SS15, park your car one place, and you can basically
just
walk around and see okay, there's a vape shop there. Hey, there's a vape shop there too.
Exactly.
Then
so
you walk down the street, hey, another one.
Yeah. So at that point of time, the community was all about promoting, you know, how well, you know, it helps us to quit smoking and all, you know. But since 2014 lah, I think 2014, I think that is the point of time when it changed into an industry.
Okay.
You know, you have people quitting their jobs. You know, like us, Vape Empire, I think we have about 500, 600 or more staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it has become something extraordinary, you know.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm very proud of the vaping scene in Malaysia because I have cousins who studies in New York.
Right.
You know, they say sometimes they feel Malaysia is ahead.
Okay.
But just because, you know, there is, but you know,
Yeah.
but the problem is with us is, you know, it is not properly regulated.
Yeah.
You know, because once you regulate everything, put everything on pen and paper, then it's visible. Then you know what is our industry is contributing to the economy, right? I mean, at this point of time, whatever helps, you know, should be supported. So I think Malaysia, at the moment, I'm very proud of the vaping scene. You know, it all, you know, it's just some regulations
that is
to
needed
put into
at the
effect.
moment.
Let me give you an example. An age limit to it. You know, like smoking above 21. So it should be something similar.
Yeah.
You know, they should have standardization for e-liquids. Okay, not example like in the UK, they announced it much more earlier. You know, like 2014 itself. So those who brew liquids, they will send it to like KKM, you know, Kementerian Kesihatan. It will go through that process.
An authority.
So yeah, once your product is safe to vape, it's gonna be endorsed by doctors. You know, all these things. So I think it will help lah. You know.
Okay.
I really wish we would go that direction.
So that's what that is needed in Malaysia at the moment, the regulation part.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think back then there was no verb for it as well, like vaping. I think I had a few friends who had the pen and stuff, but they just called it e-cigarettes or something else. There was actually, you don't say like, oh, do you vape?
I think vaping was the word, the Google word of the year, like that. In 2014 or something, right?
Do you want to add something to that? Afiq, on the vaping scene at the moment.
The vaping scene at the moment in Malaysia is phenomenal. That's all I can say. It's phenomenal. It's crazy. You know.
And it's a booming industry. Like
and you know, we are recognized worldwide.
And you're creating job opportunities as well.
Not only that, even exports. You know, we have modders exporting their workmanship overseas. You know, our brewers supplying liquids to German, France, Indonesia.
Okay.
So you know, it's something
it's something to be really proud of. I mean, if you're in a vaping industry or you're a vapor, because we just take Jamit now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not doing too well.
His mod. International buyers are actually fighting to buy his mod.
Okay.
So
that says something.
It says a lot of things.
Yeah. And maybe before we wrap things up, you guys were also mentioning something about a vape convention happening this weekend.
Yeah, I think tomorrow, right? Vapex. Yeah, so basically it's just like an exhibition, you know, like a PC fair. You know, it's a time where local brewers, local modders showcase their products. You know, it's to help grow the business.
Okay. And where will this be happening?
Vapex is in
I think it's Dataran Underground.
Okay.
Sorry, because before this there were another.
Right.
There's a lot.
It's a lot back to back.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I'm a bit.
That's okay.
I think the previous one is in Dataran Shah Alam, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. So there will be a lot coming up as well for people to check out.
But the main one is the VapeCon lah. That's the international event.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Very interesting.
I think that that's all the time that we have for today.
Great.
Thank you so much, Afiq and Imran, for joining me this morning.
Thank you for inviting us.